Hello and welcome again to the Pampered Chef Test Kitchen. We are live today on the Director Success Facebook page because we've been getting and seeing a lot of comments and getting questions about the new cold brew pitcher, and we wanted to answer every single one of your questions. Every last one. If we don't happen to get to it during this broadcast, then still type your questions if we didn't answer them while we were here, and we will get to them. So, the very first thing we wanted to answer is, what is cold brew coffee, right?
Yes. We also wanted to say that if you've earned your cold brew pitcher, we have a lot of questions on this, your pitchers are in transit and they're on the way.
Everyone who earned a cold brew pitcher their pitcher is on a truck somewhere going to you right now, if you haven't already received it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about cold brew. Cold brew coffee is everywhere. You've probably seen it at Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, even hipster coffee joints.
Super hip coffee joints.
Everywhere. Right? And I'm actually hooked. It's delicious. So cold brew is it's a method of brewing your coffee with cold coffee. So regular iced coffee that you might order at Starbucks or wherever is just hot brewed coffee poured over ice and put in the refrigerator. So it's a little diluted. And it actually has more acid when you brew your coffee with hot water.
Yes.
The heat extracts the acid. But when you brew it with cold water, it is smooth, it is richer, It is less acidic, and it's actually a little easier on your belly for those who sometimes get sensitive with coffee because of that acid. And it's delicious. I actually have a really good friend who is addicted to iced coffee, and I begged her, just try cold brew. She tried it, and the first thing she said to me was, my life has been changed.
Yeah.
It is that good.
It's so good.
Delicious.
So much better. So, what's the first thing we were going to talk about?
We're going to talk about
the pitcher.
You may have recognized this.
Yeah, so you may have recognized the cold brew pitcher, if you've been at Pampered Chef for a little bit, as the discontinued tea infusion pitcher. And there's a reason for that. It's because we actually tested over a dozen different methods of making cold brew coffee, different contraptions in every different way, and we all did a bunch of blind tastings with different cold brews. We were all jacked up on caffeine for like a month, and we all felt like this made the very best cold brew coffee that we tried. The only change was this metal infuser right here. So if you have customers or if you yourself have a tea infusion pitcher, all of these parts, the funnels and the infuser and the sleeve and the lid, they're all sold as replacement parts. So you can totally tell your customer if they have a tea infusion pitcher that they should get the new insert and hop on the cold brew coffee bandwagon. Yeah.
So let's talk about the parts a little bit. You just walk through them briefly, but so we have our lid. This is the lid.
New color.
New color. Awesome. Great color. And when you open it up, you have your funnel, and then I have my metal infuser here. That's for coffee. These two come apart. And then this is the plastic infuser for tea. And then you have your silicone sleeve, which unbuttons, and you should take it off when you're dishwashing the pitcher. This comes off, and there's actually an arrow at the top. I don't know if you can get in there. This arrow in the top should be facing up when you put the sleeve back on your pitcher. And the sleeve just helps you grip it better, and then when you make hot tea, it protects your hand. And then, of course, this part right here is the pitcher.
Yes.
Right?
So, how to make cold brew coffee. This is like the easiest recipe demo that I've done live because it really is just coarse ground coffee. I'm going to put a little on the counter so you can see. It's coarser than what you would normally get. And it's 1 cup of coarsely ground coffee and 5 cups of water. So all you do is add the coffee to the funnel into the filter through the funnel, and then pour the water over the coffee. I have my lid, yeah. So that's it. Just let it kind of fall back down, and then add some more up. Then you put the lid on and leave it on your countertop for 18 to 24 hours, depending on what time of day you made it. Maybe you didn't make it till the late morning, but you woke up early and you're thirsty.
So you want to pour a little at a time?
Yeah, basically it'll start. You pour a little in, and then it'll filter through, and you just add a little bit more. That's it.
I've got some cold brew made.
So hopefully if you're writing down questions and Ariana's reading them right now, if at the end of this we don't answer the questions that you have, we're going to get to them. So make sure to comment, tell us what you think, tell us what you need to know, what you don't know already, and we're going to make sure that you have all the information that you need.
Yeah. So here is some cold brew that's been brewing for about 24 hours.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to take out the funnel. Take this out. And then you would just take these two apart and remove your grounds. Over here. Got some ice here. Gonna make me and Tim some. Okay.
So, some people might think this is a little strong as it is, so you can add a little bit of water if you want to kind of dial it down a little bit, or if you want a little water. I think a little cream and sugar and ice kind of does the trick for me, and I like strong coffee, so I just do it as is, and that's really it. Do you have the simple syrup?
Yep, I have some simple
Sweet.
syrup here that Tim made. So when you're adding sugar to your cold beverages, the sugar doesn't really dissolve. So
Right.
we have some cold brew simple syrups up online as a recipe.
If you want me to demo the
super
simple
easy.
syrup, just say so and I can show you. It's really, really simple. But we have a bunch of recipes online. We have a mocha one and vanilla and almond, I think.
Yep.
Basically, it's equal parts sugar, water. I pop it in the microwave. You can do it on the stove. Just melt the sugar and the water together. You have simple syrup. That's it. It's very simple.
Let's get to some of the questions that we got
Yes.
before
Let me get ready.
the broadcast. Yeah, let's get ready. So
Sure.
one of the questions was to emphasize the coarse ground coffee.
Yes.
And you can get coarse ground coffee if you go to Starbucks. You can ask them to grind it coarsely.
You might say grind it for a French
French
press is kind of the coarse, or you can just say coarse ground.
Finely ground coffee, it's just going to take a little bit longer for that water to get through
Yeah.
the finer grind. The coffee might be a little cloudy too, so it's not that you can't use it, but for best results, we really recommend using the coarse ground. You can use decaf coffee, you can use flavored coffee, same kind of coffee that you would buy for just regular hot coffee in your coffee maker. Just make sure coarsely ground.
How much simple syrup did you put in this? I mean,
Just a little.
well, yeah. Anywho.
Let's see, another question we were asked is, can you make iced tea?
Yes, and basically making iced tea is the exact same as it was in the tea infusion pitcher. You use the plastic infuser and use hot water, and then add ice. So basically, just like you would make hot tea normally, but just add ice and pop it in the fridge. Mainly because brewing cold tea the same way like cold brew, it doesn't have the same benefit. So just do it like you would normally tea.
Yep.
All right. What was another question?
One more we had was, how would I demo this at a show? So we talked a
Right.
little bit about the difference between iced coffee and cold brew. You can taste it immediately. So something
Yeah.
fun to do might be a taste test between cold brew and iced coffee. Of course, we recommend you make this before a show.
Right.
And
Obviously.
then you can use plastic wrap over the lid to transport it.
Yes.
So that you can show the beautiful picture.
Yeah. The really simple answer is just let people taste it. It's so much better.
And the cost savings.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, and the cost savings. It's like 30 cents for 8 ounces of making it yourself versus $2.50, $3 depending on
At least.
where you get your cold brew.
Yep.
So yeah, the cost savings itself. And if you're not a coffee drinker, make some and give it to a friend, give it to a neighbor who is a coffee drinker, and use their testimonial. Do kind of the same thing, like Sandy was saying. Yeah.
Want to give us some?
Yeah.
All
So, can we turn cold brew coffee into something like a mocha frappuccino?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why not? I would say it's really good. I like to do cold brew, scoop of ice cream myself. It's really delicious. Put it all
in
in
a chocolate straw from our silicone
Yeah, the chocolate spoon.
Yeah.
Put some ice cream and do like coffee milkshakes,
Yeah.
things like that. Yeah, absolutely. Really delicious, really good. Love it.
How long will the cold brew concentrate remain good? And this person assumes that it's stored in the fridge, but can you
Yes.
talk about that?
So, right, you can brew the coffee either on your countertop or in the fridge. I recommend countertop. I prefer that. But once you're done brewing it, just take the coffee out and then store it in the fridge. I would say 7 days. It's good. It's good for about a week. Although it never seems to last that long for me.
No. It's
Yeah.
fast.
Is it normal for cold brew coffee to need almost 3 times the coffee grounds
Right.
than regular hot brewed coffee?
Yeah, so it's not quite 3 times, but you do need more. The coffee to water ratio is a little bit higher, so you need more coffee with cold brew, mainly because you're not using boiling hot water to make it. You need to kind of extract a little bit more. You need a little bit more coffee to extract. So, yeah, totally normal. Ours isn't different in the recipe or ratio or anything like that than any other kind of cold brew coffee method. That's just, yeah, how it's made.
And how do you make the coffee stronger?
Okay, so if you want to make the coffee stronger, I would just say let it sit longer, and that's pretty much going to make it a lot stronger for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not
So-
do as much ice cube,
Yeah.
If it's cold already, you don't dilute it with ice cubes or water.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, now we're going to get into our live questions.
All right, live questions.
So
Let's
some
do it.
people joined us a little late, so we might need
Okay.
to do a little bit of
We'll do some
recapping.
recaps. No problem. You're here.
So
I'm here.
Paula is asking, do I purchase coffee that is coarse or fine ground?
You want
Coarse
coarse
ground.
ground coffee.
Yeah. So you can say ground, like if you go to a Starbucks or go to a coffee shop, tell them you want it coarse ground, or you can say like for a French press because it's the same grind consistency, or you can go to the grocery store and do it coarse ground that way.
French press setting.
French press setting.
How long does it last in the fridge once it's made? Tracy is asking.
Tracy, it lasts 7 days in the fridge. Once you've brewed it and pulled out the ground coffee, it lasts 7 days.
Lisa says she made hers in the fridge and
Yeah.
she noticed it was a little weak. Was that the reason why?
Probably. Or yeah, you can do it in the fridge and maybe just give it a little bit more time, or I just do it on the countertop.
All right. And how would you recommend sweetening the coffee after 24 hours? That's another question from Tracy.
I would recommend making a simple syrup, which is equal parts sugar and water. So this is like 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of water, and then you can either pop it in the microwave like I did, or you can do it on the stovetop just until the sugar is dissolved. Because if you're sweetening it with just plain sugar, it really doesn't dissolve very well in the cold brew. So simple syrups, we have a bunch of recipes. We have a recipe online. It's called Cold Brew Simple Syrups.
I think we have 3 different variations
Yeah,
for it.
and you can experiment, do your own. Add whatever extracts you find. If you're making cakes, just try a banana one. Try orange and mocha. It's good.
Almond's good.
Almond's good, yeah. Or not to throw you for a loop, you can throw like cinnamon sticks in the simple syrup while you're heating it up. You have like a cinnamon simple syrup. That's really good. Just have fun. Figure it out. Yeah.
Laura is asking, how many cups does it make?
This makes about 5 cups.
Yeah. Of the cold brew. And it depends on if you want to add more water, if you think it's too strong, you can add more water, and then obviously you would have more coffee. But about 5 cups. A little bit of the water stays in the grounds when you pull it out, but not a ton.
And Melissa is asking, what are all of the differences between the cold brew pitcher and the infusion pitcher?
So the main difference is the metal infuser. This is the new metal infuser versus the plastic infuser for tea. So you'll notice that the metal infuser has finer holes for coffee, and this is for the loose leaf tea. And then it also got, an upgrade with a different
color
lid.
here, and then the old one was a zipper closure, and we just changed the design because we like the buttons. We thought it was cute.
It's super cute.
Yeah.
And Paula's making a joke. She says, Sandy, did you put 14 cups of cream in yours?
What? Oh my gosh, I really didn't. It sort of looks like that.
I put 14 cups of simple syrup in mine, so
It sort of looks
we've
like
been
that.
practicing for this
Oh
video
my gosh.
for like all day, so I'm kind of like a little jittery, but it's okay.
It hits you.
Yeah.
All right,
In a
so
good way.
so Bobby says, can you write on the lid with a dry erase marker, or can you
Cool.
write on the jar itself?
So I don't know. That is
Yeah.
a great question.
We'll have to
Do you want to just
yeah,
try it?
yeah.
I have a dry erase marker. Like let's just try one.
Oh,
Let's
that
just try
kinda
it.
makes me
It's
scared,
okay.
but that's
It's okay.
okay.
It's okay.
We'll try it. So you could say like mine, or put your name, or when you made it, perhaps.
Mhm.
That's a cool idea. I would think it would be okay on the.
And
Actual.
Sandy, while I have you here,
Yeah.
Debbie is asking, is there any advantage to cold brew over hot coffee?
Yes. So the main advantage is that there's a lot less acidity. Sorry, I'm jumping on you.
Sandy. Just kidding.
Sorry.
Like I mentioned before, it is a lot less acidic and bitter, so it's easier on your belly. So that's one advantage. And we all know coffee has certain health benefits, but that's really the main one. Is that
Yeah.
it's a lot less acidic, and we really recommend doing a taste test of cold brew versus iced coffee.
And we kind of talked about how it's smoother, so you might you might not need as much cream or sugar.
You're right.
Yes.
Some people have noticed it's slightly sweeter too, because it's less acidic. You can kind of taste a little more sweetness.
So was it Bobby that was asking about
Oh my
the dry
gosh.
erase? No, you can't. You don't use dry erase on the lid.
Oh, okay, we found out.
Because it doesn't erase. I just did it on the back so I wouldn't
Okay.
mess this up. But it does not erase very well on glass. Yeah, probably, right? Although I don't know if that's something we would wholeheartedly recommend. I would have to talk to like legal to say, can we use dry erase on glass?
Yeah.
You know, just don't drink it.
So Kimberly is asking, if you want to make tea, can you use bags or should you be using the leaves?
We recommend the loose leaf tea
Yeah.
for this.
If you're using bags, you just don't really need an insert.
Right.
So you can just put the bags in and pull them out, or you can pop them in here. That way it's easier to retrieve.
You can.
But the difference between bagged tea and loose leaf tea is the size of the leaf itself. Getting a little technical here, but bagged tea, it's called like dust. There's like a grading system, and bagged tea is like tea dust. And then loose leaf goes all the way to like hand rolled leaves and things like that. So typically, if you buy loose leaf tea,
More concentrated.
it's a better.
After you make cold brew, can you then heat the coffee into a hot coffee drink? And do you mind repeating that because we had a little interruption there?
So
If you make cold brew, can you heat the coffee just for regular coffee?
I don't know, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
And there may be a difference between doing hot coffee and cold brew,
Yeah.
but I think you might not really notice as much because it's hot versus because it's cold.
Right.
A lot of the nuance in the flavor that you taste when the coffee is cold, you don't really pick up when it's hot. So you might just be doing too many steps for a little benefit. But I've never done that before, so I can't say for sure.
And Kimberly asks, what is your favorite tip for us to give at parties that will make us look like rock stars when we're trying to sell this?
I mean, we love the cost saving benefit, and really, it's the taste.
Yeah. And then I think making some really delicious, like we were talking about, frappuccino kind of things
Yeah.
with the ice cream and coffee, really, really good. And I also just letting them taste it.
Yeah, I think the simple syrups too. These silicone prepples are perfect for the simple syrups. Pop a lid over it. You can keep these for about, I would say, 4 to 5 days too.
Yeah, and you can totally make, as many different flavors or whatever that you want because
Takes 2
the
minutes.
recipe is 2 minutes. You can do half a cup of sugar, half a cup of water, and then do different extracts and different flavors. Make your own Starbucks at home. I think that's a really, really fun party idea.
To reiterate for Cheryl, we recommend using coarse ground coffee.
Yes.
If you don't have coarse ground, can you use regular ground?
Yes, you can use regular ground coffee. We recommend coarse ground because the water can flow through.
It might take a little bit longer with the finer ground because it takes longer to kind of penetrate into the ground beans, and it might be a little cloudier, but it's fine. We just say for best results, it's better to use the coarse ground.
Yeah.
And what temperature water were you pouring?
Oh, this was room temperature? Yeah. I mean, if it comes out of if you have like a filter and it comes out of your fridge, it's fine. It's just, this was room temperature. Not hot, though.
Not hot.
Because then it wouldn't be cold brew.
No.
Laura and Melissa both say, hey, maybe you can use the wine glass markers. We'd have to test that one out.
We'd have to look into that one. That's a fun idea.
All right. Let's see.
We want to make sure we get every question,
Mm-hmm.
and that you guys, get it and are totally comfortable and ready to go.
All right. Jill says that would it be possible to use the decaf Dunkin' Donuts ground coffee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, totally. I mean, listen, it's not like you have to do buy anything super special
Right.
or specialty or go somewhere, if you live in a town that doesn't have a Starbucks or your customers do, that's totally fine. Use what you love, use any kind of if you like hazelnut mochaccino flavored coffee or whatever, just use what you love and make it your own.
All right. We have a lot of people who are thanking you guys for doing this video.
Awesome.
Very
It's
well.
very helpful.
Good.
And I'm just going to do a last call for questions. So if you do have a burning question, now's the time to submit it so we can quickly answer that.
Yeah.
And then we'll be closing up in a couple of minutes.
Why don't we just talk about the big tips?
The take-homes,
Right.
yeah.
The big take-homes on this product is, yes, this is the old tea infusion pitcher with some upgrades, different color lid, different color sleeve, and the new metal infuser just for coffee. It still comes with a plastic infuser for tea. You want to brew your coffee coarse ground. If you do it fine ground, it's still going to work, but for best results, we recommend the coarse ground. It's a cup of coffee grounds to 5 cups water. Infuse 18 to 24 hours, either on your countertop, or in the fridge. And then you make your coffee
Yeah.
how you like it.
And make a simple syrup. You can add some cream and do whatever you want
And the cold brew lasts for about a week
in the fridge.
in the fridge with the
Yes.
lid.
Those are the big takeaways.
All right. So we've got some final questions.
Okay, good.
So Amy Sue is asking, how would it be best to flavor the coffee if you don't use sweetener? And she suggests cinnamon.
If you don't use
Yeah.
sweeteners, you could do ground cinnamon and maybe try putting it in the filter when you're making it. I would say that there's probably going to be a little bit of like the cinnamon.
Kernels,
It's
yeah.
not going to dissolve like sugar does.
And you might find that with the cold brew, it tastes slightly sweeter than a traditional iced coffee
Yeah.
because of the less acidity and the less bitterness. So you might want to try it black and see kind of what you think.
Extracts would be
Yep,
another one
yep.
because you can just add the extract itself to your cold brew.
Yep.
You don't have to add the simple syrup. Would be another way to flavor your coffee. That's pretty much how they flavor
A little
coffee
bit goes
beans
a long
anyway.
way.
Yeah, a little bit goes a
goes
long way.
All right. So Lisa has more of a suggestion. She
Okay.
says, can you come up with syrups that include stevia instead
You know what?
of
We
sugar?
actually have a tip on the cold brew simple syrups online. There actually is a tip for using a Splenda or
Yeah.
sugar substitute. So I did try that.
Yeah, and the main reason though is that those are especially formulated to dissolve in cold water. So you don't necessarily have to use a simple syrup, but if you wanted to do like different flavors. and
Right.
stuff.
So if you want to use a Splenda or a stevia, it will dissolve into the cold water, but regular sugar is not going to dissolve.
Right.
So Susan says she has been asked to explain why a French press coffee machine is different than cold brew.
The main difference is the filtration. You'll notice if you have a French press, the filter is much finer on this one. That's because you couldn't necessarily press this kind of fine filter. But also, the hot water in doing French press extracts some of that acid, like we were saying earlier.
Yep.
And so it's not as smooth. It's not as full and rich. Yeah.
And Sharon, you're asking if people who have the old tea pitcher can buy the coffee insert, and the answer to that is yes.
Yes.
All right, so Kim says, specifically talking about tea, do you recommend cold or room temperature water for tea as well?
When you're brewing tea, use hot water. So it's not the same as cold brew.
Right.
We recommend using just like making tea like you normally do.
Yep. And then just refrigerating it, putting over ice to make your iced tea.
Robin says, does this make a concentrate that then has to be diluted? And if so, what's the ratio?
So it's all your personal preference. Then we made these coffee drinks before. I diluted mine with a little bit of water. Tim is fine just putting his over ice with a little bit of cream. So
Yeah.
it is pretty strong when it comes out, but it's all depending on how you like it.
Once it's brewed, can we store it in the quick stir pitcher?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Absolutely.
All right. And one last thing from Lisa. It's a suggestion. She says, how about flavoring recommendations that are non-dairy? Any thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, we
Oh.
also have our non-dairy coffee creamers online, which uses almond milk and some extracts
Yeah.
in the measure, mix, and pour. So those are fun. You just mix them up and then store them in the fridge with almond milk. But you can
Yeah.
do those with any kind of milk too.
Yeah. And fortunately, non-dairy milk substitutes like the almond and coconut, and they're really blowing up right now too.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of flavors coming out.
Yeah.
You can use.
All right.
That's it. That's all of them.
Yep.
All right.
So if any other questions come in, we're going to try to answer them.
I've had so much caffeine.
I know, right?
I'm sorry.
We really hope that this video benefited you and that your questions have been answered and that you are as excited about the cold brew pitcher as we are and that you're going to bring it to shows and have fun with it.
All right. Thank you all so
Yep,
much for
thank
watching.
you.
Bye.